What you're about to see could save your back, speed up your work with much less effort, make you more money, spend less on labor, and have a dependable helper on hand every day for about one day's wages forever. What I'm going to do is show you how I use the Crazy Horse in the shop. This is the original intention of the horse, was to transfer heavy material from the ground or from my lift to the carriage of my slider. My first job using European system liked to have done me in, and I knew I had to do something, so I came up together with a little wheeled dolly that would transfer this material without having to lift it. Of course, you have to lift one end, but it's actually easier, to be honest with you, to lift the one end without someone else lifting the other end. If it's down on the floor or on the lift, it's much easier than two people handling this material. Now here you can see I throw it up under there and put the off-fall back on there because I just needed that one strip. So I still don't have to pick up even a partial sheet of this heavy material. You're transferring it from the floor. It's about the same thing. You're just lifting a little bit higher. This happens to be some pre-finished birch 3/4 plywood, probably about 60 pounds, something on that order. Now you see the first sheet had a little warp in it, so didn't want to use it for this project. We leaned it up against the wall and let it equalize a little bit with the weather. Get started here. You just pick it up, set it up on the dolly. You're looking at a little inspection right there. I saw something under there, so I want to look at it a little closer. It's easy to just stand it up, and the dolly catches it, and you can see that you've got 360 global degrees, really. You can really move this thing around side to side, up and down, twist it around. It stays on the dolly because of the particular type of rubber that we have. We pour ourselves and we mold it ourselves. You'll notice that with both the MDF and this plywood, I had the dolly out on that outside corner and it was following along. That's about a 1/2 inch taller than the table. It could be taller if you needed it to be. And what that does is it picks up that outside edge and drops that inside edge, so your scoring blade will make a nice cut on your material without having to struggle with holding it up and pushing it through and that sort of thing and clamping it. Here you see just a typical operation where everything looks pretty good. You see how easy it is just to shift around. I simply kick it out to the end and get it lined up. This is a lot easier to handle than some of the particle board and the heavier stuff. This really saved my life. I just didn't see how I could possibly do what I was going to do using commercial jobs in particular, where they're using particle board and melamine and laminate. It's just too heavy. With this little device here, it just made all the difference in the world. Now, the next sheet that we pick up can give you some idea of how you can manipulate plywood without hardly any effort at all. I'm going to pick it up, I'll look at it, I'm going to inspect it. I don't like the way that other side looks, so I'm going to flip it over so I can cut it like I want it. Now, if you're transferring from vertical, very similar to what you just saw, you're simply going to, it makes it easy too. If you have to stack your stuff up in your shop against the wall, you don't have room on the floor to stack different types of things. This really makes it easy to bring it in the shop, stack it against the wall, one guy, no problem. You see I put a little toe on it there. Didn't really have to, but I demonstrate that just to show you that you can do it. Now, sometimes you get a little dust on that top and it's not quite as sticky as it should be. All you really need to do is take a damp cloth and wipe it down. That dampness swells up the fibers and the dust pops right off. Dust it off and you're re-sticky again, and you're back in business. You can see the outrigger type of operation. And once you start to make your cuts, you no longer need it. Just simply kick it out of the way. Now here's a nice usage for this dolly. There are times when I actually bring in a new spoil board, and I can bring in an entire 97 by 49 piece of MDF that I'll use as my spoil board for my router, and I will edge band the whole thing to help with the suction. And I can put Crazy Horse out on the end of it. It holds it up. I can concentrate on lining up the material with the fence on the edge bander, so they get good job on the edge banding. And you can find, once you start working with this thing, you can find ways to work. You see I'm dancing around with the piece. It's really can be much more efficient than that little fade-o-do there. Here we're going to use the dolly as a stationary stand. The dolly has 6 3-inch casters. They're rated a little over 200 pounds, as I said. And they have dual locks on them. They wheel locks and the swivel locks when you lock it, so that it's very sturdy, very steady. It gives you really a nice base to work off of. The T that you see there is also coated with rubber. So there's no need to clamp this in this particular operation. There's no need to clamp anything or nail anything up or that sort of thing. It's going to stay there. Especially the MDF really has an affinity for that rubber, and it sticks really well to it. That melamine surface on it. Now this is an operation I've used for years. It's not exactly what I always do because this material's a little thicker. But what you want to do is drop that low end below your table enough to cut 4 or 5 pieces, and they will stack themselves, as you can see here. In this case, it's 1 1/4 material, so I don't get quite as many cuts. And if you want to do longer materials with this particular operation, you got 16 foot, for instance, you want to bring the high side of that table out about 14 feet away from the edge of the outfeed table of the saw. That way it gives it enough weight to drop down when your other piece has shoved it through. So it's kind of an automated, semi-automated operation. But you can see here that the Crazy Horse lends itself to this kind of an operation. So if you have a small shop and you just need a really versatile tool that will give you an extra place to work, or another bench, or something to catch something off the end of the saw like this is doing right here, it's very handy, doesn't take up a lot of space, can be used for a lot of different things. One-man shop who's working pretty steady, we use this thing every day. We do around here. And I'm simply moving the whole thing. I didn't have to move any materials. I just moved the whole thing over to our little edger that we have. It cuts a nice 90-degree edge and then removes the saw kerf. As an A-frame, you can actually, like my shop is about 9,000 feet, and I actually have the material in bunks on the other side of the shop, probably 120 feet away. I'll bring it over on a forklift and we'll have a stack there. But if I just need one sheet or I need a couple of sheets, I'll grab the Crazy Horse and I'll just run through. I'll go out through the loading dock, our concrete pad here we have for loading and unloading. Go into the other section of the shop and pick up a couple of sheets and bring them over. I can bring one over on top. I do not recommend at all stacking more than one piece on top of your dome, but you could put up to 8 pieces on the side, 4 pieces to a side on this particular dolly. You'll never overload it. And it's 360 degrees, as you saw there. You can put it pretty much like a hook and ladder just about anywhere you want to go in your shop. That 8 feet will go. This is something that we never did have on the older models that we made. It was this T on top. Now, this T is rated at about 500 pounds, so the nut that holds that up is about 500 pounds. And it's on self-limiting. You're not going to haul 500 pounds on it because you're going to have to pick up 250 of that to get it on there. So you wouldn't want to do that. But you can see that moving over an uneven surface, you can see where I go down the ramp to the loading area there and come in and out. Nice thing is you can see going up to the table there is you're already almost halfway over the table or into a truck or whatever when you drop your material. Well, that's it. If you'd like some more information, just drop me a line at leelarry@bellsouth.net and we'll get together on it. Let me know what you think. Thank you.